the plan is to paint it. So I've done the first layer. Engine is in. I've got the suspensions back, 1 and 2 here. Turn on the headlight. It works. The bike starts finally, but it doesn't run well. So look at this. I've been hiding the battery here. My idea with this battery is to mostly keep it disconnected, but if for any reason I need it, it's just here behind the plastics. I can connect or disconnect, and yeah, it works. Look. Used to work. So yes, it is a blown fuse. The question is why now? Okay, so I was saying I've placed a new fuse and turning the key, lights goes on. I even have the switch for the stoplight. Nice. So now I have the headlight not on yet. Now it's on. Not sure, is this going to blow the fuse or... Okay, so now also the second fuse is blown, but I mean, they are quite small fuses, 3 amps and 2 amps. And doing the math with the watts and the volts of the 12 volts and the watts of the headlight, plus the tail light, plus the stop light and the position light, clearly it goes above the fuse capacity. I'm gonna buy bigger fuses, and I have to consider whether the wires are thick enough or if they're gonna overheat and start melting. Right, so I'm 3 days away from the road check, and the bike is far from being ready. The engine is not running fine. There are basically 2 problems with it. One is that it makes a lot of smoke when running, like more than normal. And the other one is that it doesn't really run smoothly. It's not revving up properly. The 2 issues could be related, but they could also be independent. For the first issue, could be like 2 options basically. Either the engine is burning coolant, or the engine is burning gear oil. The reasons behind each of them is that if it is burning coolant, it's because the head gasket is leaking, most likely. If it is burning oil, it's because probably the crankcase seal or the gasket, the crankcase gasket are failing, so they let oil in a combustion chamber. Judging by the color of the smoke that comes out of the exhaust, it's bluish, so that gives me a hint that it's more likely oil than water, because then it would be more white-ish color. So yeah, I have to check that, and then I have to check also the carburation and anything related to that. This one clearly doesn't help, that it had cracks and it would mess up with the mixture eventually. The reed valves are old, also doesn't help. The exhaust is full of crap from 20 years of unburned oil sticking to the inside of the exhaust. Same goes for this one. I went to do some shopping, and look what I found. First of all, I found fuses. Then I got, this is the seal on the crankcase that I did not replace initially because I couldn't find it. Hopefully I can open the engine now, well, open the side case on the water pump side and replace it, so that might fix the issue. Then I didn't get the whole reed valve assembly, but I got these ones that I can replace. These are new, and surprisingly brand new exhaust pipe here. And I mean, I can feel the difference when lifting this one compared to lifting the other one, which is on the bike at the moment. This one is second-hand, so it might not be any better than the one I have. But the main difference is that if you look here, this one has a cap that can be removed. So I can take this out and replace the inner filling so that it's like new. So what am I gonna do now? I think I'm gonna drain the oil and the water. But I'm gonna drain the oil, check first of all because if it was burning oil, then there would be less oil in the gearbox than what I used to put initially. That would be already a sign that that's a problem. And then, yeah, I'm gonna check replace the seal. I'm going anyway to open the top end and check the exhaust valve if it is adjusted properly. Carburetor, I'm gonna open it again. This one I'm gonna replace it. This one I'm gonna replace the flaps of the reed valves and adjust it so that it fits on the new connector there. I put in this much and I got out this much. So all of this has been burnt basically. Which explains a lot. Bright side is that when I look into it, yeah, it's a bit dark, but you know, it looks worse on camera than what it is. But it doesn't seem to be milky, which would mean if it is milky, then it means water mixed up with oil, but it just seems to be oil, so that's good. Now, let's continue to troubleshoot the problem. In order to get to the crankshaft seal, I first have to remove the muffler and the exhaust pipe. Then I remove the coolant hoses, kickstarter, gear shifter, foot peg, the power valve lead, and finally I can lift the clutch side cover. The seal is behind the primary gear, but before I can remove that, I have to loosen up the clutch pressure plate and take off the clutch basket. Only then I have enough room to use the custom-made extractor to pull the primary gear out. So, this is the one that I did not replace when I built the engine because I didn't have it, and now I have the new one, and I believe this is where the gearbox oil goes into the piston, well, in the cylinder and then in the piston and get burnt. So I'll try to replace this one and see if that solves the issue. Ta-da! The seal is out. I've placed a new O-ring in here, so I hope that will help. And here I have the old one and the new one. I use a pipe of the right size to evenly press the new seal into position until it is flush with the case. Now with the new seal in place, it's just a matter of mounting everything back and yeah, crossed fingers. So I've mounted back everything there. Before I connect this one, I'm gonna adjust the exhaust valve, so I have to open the head up. Then I'm gonna do the intake here. But today we have a special guest in the workshop.
Hello.
What are you doing?
I'm working on my carburetor.
I managed to find new flaps for the reed valve that go over here. It's one extra, so I have to remove one, but that's no big deal. Reed valves, connector and carburetor are done now. Laura is having a great time. So I'm gonna open the cylinder head. I'm gonna check the exhaust valve adjustment. I'm gonna check if there's anything wrong in there. And then I'm gonna mount everything back together and try to start it once again. Here you have inside there. See, this one moving is the exhaust valve. that's supposed to open at higher revs and stay closed at lower RPMs. So basically it reduces the size of the exhaust port basically, and this has the position has to be adjusted. Exhaust valve adjusted. Now it's just a matter of putting the cover here, the hoses and oil, carburetor, and start it up. It is still burning oil. Yeah, I have to think what could be the reason. I mean, it could be the gasket in between the two crankcase halves. But I mean, I replaced it and it's not leaking underneath. I don't know. So this is what came out of the exhaust. It smells like fuel, not like oil. I don't really know. Let's see what comes out of this one. Not much. This is driving me crazy. It's becoming a proper debug session. So the problems are still the same too. It's smoking a lot and not running, not revving up smoothly. That could be related to each other or not. Anyway, I cannot really find a reason behind it yet. So the only thing I can think of is to remove as many variables as I can, one by one, until the problem is solved, and then slowly introduce them again one by one and see when the problem happens again, so I know what is the reason. So at the moment the bike has no gear oil in it, so it cannot burn it. I'm going to block into fully open position the exhaust valve so it cannot affect the combustion. It seems that the fumes and the liquid is from unburned fuel. I'm just gonna try a whole bunch of stuff. I really hope that the problem with bad revving of the engine is not related to electric side, like ignition, because that could also be the case, that the ignition works fine at low RPM, but not so well when revving up. If that's the problem, I'm basically done. I cannot really buy or do anything about it. I cannot buy parts that I will receive in 2 days before the road check. So yeah, let's try with that. I really don't know anymore. So I've been testing different configuration the whole morning. This is the control of the exhaust valve. And this morning I tested by leaving this one disconnected and the valve always fully open, and didn't make much of a difference. But I could see that this one, which is supposed to slide up when the engine is revving, it was doing that. So that's a good sign, it works. So now I put it back with the right adjustment of the valve. Next, I noticed something very off. So I have two exhausts. This was the one that was on the bike, and when looking inside through it, can't see anything there. There is basically like a cap inside, while I have another one over there, which, well, I removed the cover here, but when looking inside of this one, you can see it's, passing through. And by changing the exhaust, I tested this one, it works way better and smokes much less. So now what I'm gonna do is, as I said, adjust the exhaust valve. Then I'm gonna put gear oil, and then I'm also gonna replace the pipe, put the new pipe, the new exhaust, and just test it out. New exhaust pipe, new muffler, seems to be much better. I even managed to do, I don't know, 200 meters with it. It is still leaking water, but yeah, I'll look into it later. So what I'm going to do now is to put a helmet on and do a longer trip, hoping that it will last. I don't know what to expect anymore. Just came back from the short ride. It's not too bad, it's not perfect. It's missing some power on the mid-high RPM, but it runs, so that's already progress. The front brake was overheating, I don't know why, I have to check that. But like this, the engine and the carburation is okay for the road check. I don't care, it's gonna be fine. I will look into it after to get it race ready. Now what I have to do is fix the problem with the front brake, fix the water leak, bleed the rear brake, check all the lights with a new fuse, plastic covers, and yeah, I think that should be about it, I hope. I mean, I just have 1 day left. Ta-da! Nice! So it's the last day before the road check. I put all the plastics on because I wanted to see and check that they are fine. They're not, I mean, they're far from looking good, but they hold on, so that's okay for now. Now it's a matter of getting all the last details for the road check. What I'm about to attempt to do is to remove this license plate holder, just the black part, not the white mudguard, from the Honda, and temporarily mount it over here, because I know 100% that if I just put the license plate here, the angle, it's definitely not gonna be okay for the road check. And I also suspect that they're going to require dedicated light for the plate. This is as ugly as it gets, but it works. Next is the rear brake, which is even more annoying than the front one to bleed all by myself. I've been trying to bleed the rear brake for the whole afternoon and I can't get it to work. I mean, I've tried to put it upside down so that air could get out. Just doesn't work. I hope it's not something with the pump that's faulty, but otherwise I don't really know. It's not leaking oil anywhere. There are air bubbles coming out of this one eventually, but so it seems that the problem is with these two pistons, that they are stuck fully in and don't get out. So I'm gonna try to get them out and not push them completely in when I mount the caliper. Let's see. I'm 11 hours away from the appointment for the road check, road test, whatever. Can't get the rear brake to work. Now I'm gonna take apart the pump and see if there's something wrong with that one. It's 20 to 11 and it's done. The brake is working. It's not perfect, but it works. And yeah, I've done all I could. There are still a lot of unknown. We will see what happens in, 9 hours. So I'm gonna go to sleep. Tomorrow morning, alarm early, put the bike on the trailer and drive to the place. Whew, I'm tired. Let's see, crossed fingers. It's early morning, the bike is on the trailer. Let's go for the check. I'm not too confident, to be honest. as expected. It did not pass for all sort of small reasons. They didn't even start it actually. Like you can see, tiny drop of oil there. That was a complaint. Rear disc, I don't like it because it doesn't have the typical pattern as it has the front one. Then I have a big problem with the size of the rim, which on the specs they have should be 2.15, but I think this is not original and it's larger. I didn't even know. They complained about this and it's missing. They want that I have a cover here, even though, I mean, originally there's no cover, but for safety reasons I would have to come up with something. Let's make a recap of the situation. It has been exactly 1 week since the failed MOT, which, I mean, no big deal. It was expected, more likely to fail it than to pass it. So now and by the way, it's 3 weeks away from the start of the championship. I'm not very confident I'm gonna make it to the first race with this bike. I might do the first one with the other bike and then continue with this one. But anyway, so what's the plan now? I've been searching for the parts, like the rim, speedometer and other small things that failed me at the MOT. So I've been buying those, I'm waiting for delivery, and in the meantime what I'm planning to do is to do the opposite basically. Instead of focusing on fixing the bike for the MOT, I'm gonna try to get it ready for racing, forgetting about the MOT for a while, so that I'm confident that I could take it to a race, and then adjust the small things for the MOT because I have a list now. On the top of my head, I can think about 3 main issues. A relatively small issue number 1 are the brakes. Front brake, I mean, I didn't test it yet after last change, but it looks like the caliper pistons are not coming back, and I believe it is the same problem as I had on the rear caliper. So I've replaced the seals inside with brand new ones, very expensive by the way, and for some reasons the new ones, which are not original KTM because you can't find them anymore, I think they are slightly thicker, so they create friction of the piston moving in the caliper, and then the piston doesn't doesn't have the there's nothing pulling it back. It's just, when the pressure is released, it should automatically come back, but if they are stuck and they can't move freely, they just stay there sticking to the disc. So that might be an issue, and it might be a very annoying one. The rear brake, I'm still not very confident, and indeed what I had to do with the rear brake was to replace again the seals with I put back the old ones because the new ones wouldn't work. But here I had the opposite problem. Instead of not coming back after pressing the lever, they would not really go out. They were so stuck in the caliper that they, even when pressing the brake, it would not push. The pressure could not manage to push them out and squeeze the disc. And that problem got solved after I replaced them. I'm gonna get a new brake line because I don't know who got this one, but the original one is supposed actually to go down here. That's why you see this clip go all the way down and then up again. This one is clearly too short. I can't do that. I don't know who decided that this was a bright idea. Okay, but those are okay issues. Annoying, especially considering that I spent quite a lot of money to get the new seals and they don't work. Nevertheless, the main issue, which one of you highlighted when I posted the new video on YouTube, is with the ignition. So as you have seen before, this ignition, it's a mess. Like they've been mixing up parts from different bikes, different years, and it's already a miracle that it works. But what one of you, which I'm very thankful of, was saying is that the flywheel is from an 89 model. My bike is from 87, which has a different system. And the pre-ignition is the advanced ignition, the ignition advanced, actually, it's too much. So the risk is that, well, first of all, the bike will not run very well. And the problem is that it will overheat because the fuel ignites before the piston is at the right place. It will overheat and it will not last long. And that concerns me a lot. So I was saying that's a big issue, not only because I have to replace the flywheel, but I'm missing the CDI, like the control digital unit thing. The ignition coil is different. So I would have to replace CDI, ignition coil, flywheel. Good luck finding those. I know there are some aftermarket ones which are not cheap. We are talking about 300 euros plus the delivery time, which is usually like 3 weeks, something like that. So that's also not a solution. So that might be a big one. I have to see what I'm gonna do now. I'm gonna ignore the ignition problem for the moment. I'm going to focus on the brakes, which I know they're gonna give me a headache and they're gonna be super annoying. For the MOT, I might put the original one because this looks a bit too good. It has no KTM markings or anything, and I'm concerned that they're gonna be like, this is not original. I want to see the approval of this exhaust. So I might be better to put the old shitty one, which looks like an original part, rather than this new fancy. In between all of this, I have to bring back the rear shock because, as you can see, it's already leaking oil and it doesn't really spring, so to say. Basically, the bike is a piece of wood, and when it compresses, then it doesn't return. So here we go. I'm about to remove once again the flywheel because I have to figure out this ignition situation. Bike on the ground. First of many, probably, if I manage to get it on the at the races. So I've put it on the side so that the gear oil is collecting on the other side, and I could open the case without having to empty the whole gear oil. Anyway, what I'm gonna do now, I've cleaned up the surfaces here already, and I'm gonna put the silicone paste, a thick one, so that over here it doesn't, it was not really leaking, like having drops on the floor, but there was, if you looked underneath, there was one collecting drop. So clearly they didn't like that at the inspection. Okay, so what I have to do now is to remove the rear shock suspension. To access the rear shock, I have to tilt upwards the seat frame. While I hold the frame up with a strap, I proceed with unbolting the bottom suspension link, and finally I can drop the rear shock absorber. So now here's the situation. New suspension, works like a charm, a bit stiff. So now focusing on the front brake, you can already see the problem is that you see the wheel doesn't really, it stops immediately as soon as I spin it. Now here's the situation, these two, 1 and 2, are moving fine. These two are stuck. I'm procrastinating. I really don't feel like working on the brakes. Okay, the 2 pistons are out. I've also removed the seals that go inside. These were already the new ones. I mean, I don't really know what to do. Like, I cleaned up the inside, cleaned up the seals. I'm gonna clean up the pistons and just try to put them back again. This is the problem that I can't really understand why it happens and how to solve it. So I cannot really push the piston, you see, should go way more inside as all the others, but I can't really push it into position. I managed to do the other one, but this one, I don't know, that just doesn't work. Mission accomplished, but it's too early to celebrate anyway. I have to mount it now, bleed the brakes, check that it doesn't leak and that it doesn't get stuck again. So this is how the wheel spins without any friction from the brakes, because I didn't bleed them yet. So it's very free. Let's see how it will be after. I'm gonna start with the bleeding now. So here's the difference now. There's already quite a lot of friction and I didn't even bleed it properly. I mean, it still doesn't break. So basically the situation is worse than it was 3 hours ago. All right, so this is a different workshop than what you're used to see. I'm at my friend's place to try to sort out the ignition situation and finalize the last details. What we are doing now is mounting the rear suspension, which I got back. It's over here. Then I also got new brake line, which is doing the proper route underneath. Okay, so we have been studying, doing the math and measurements of the grades. And as one of you said in the comments, the problem with the flywheel that I have and this stator, which are not the right match, is that I should actually rotate the stator a little bit more even, but I don't have more space to do that. So now we have to find a solution for that. Okay, update at lunch break. First of all, we replaced the cable here and I don't know how this is called, but now it is more firm on the spark plug, as well as managed to mount the new intake connection. So that's progress. We started it, but we are not satisfied with the way it runs. We're not sure yet if it is carburation issue or ignition. I mean, the ignition now, we just adjusted the maximum we could, and we want to see how it runs, and then eventually we adjust. We drill some additional holes and adjust it to the theoretical angle that it should be. But yeah, one step at a time. Now the carburetor is out. We are checking that one, and then we will see. All right, now what's left to do after I worked on the bike together with my friend is to replace the zip ties here, so there are no air leaks. Find a solution for the rubber here, which is a little bit squeezed. Adjust the jets of the carburation a little bit because it was a bit too rich, and then try it out. There are only 2 weeks remaining before the race. Not sure I'm gonna make it, but it's basically now or never.
Anxiety filling up every space, no privacy. And silently it could build and build until you finally see, whoa, it's taking over, damn, no closure, moving closer.
Okay, so what's the situation now? I went for a short ride and it's okay. So first of all, positive thing is that the brakes are not stuck anymore. So that's good. Doesn't break much, but can't really expect much for this bike. The problem now is that I don't know if it is the carburation or something else, but when accelerating, the power delivery, it's not smooth and progressive, but you know, it's missing like kinda, how it's hard to explain, but yeah, it's not regular. And I think it's also lacking power. So it kind of revs up, but not regularly, kind of jerks. And yeah, it's not not really race ready. I think this would be fine for the MOT because they don't really care about engine performance. They care more about the bike being safe on the road. But still, this has to be fixed. So I'm gonna try to play around with the carburation settings, change the jets. I still want to try the old exhaust because this one is not convincing me. And that might also make a difference. But on the other side, the old one is not, it's full of junk, so that might affect performances. There are so many different aspects that are involved into this possible issue that I don't want to change too many things at the same time, because then I don't know which one is the reason of the issue. What I'm going to do tomorrow is to prepare it for the MOT again. I don't have an appointment yet, but I'm gonna take it on Friday. Hopefully they can give me one on short notice, so I have the bike ready for the first race. Let's see. Once again, it didn't pass. So this is the result of the endless day of shopping. Here we go, and I'm at the cross track.